Well, the second and final one, Wealth Principle 51. Welcome back, Alchemist. Wealth Principle 51 is solving problems for people and getting rich doing it. Now, this principle is a part of a 52-week journey. So Wealth Principle 51 is the final almost of the wealth principles. Next week, with Wealth Principle 52, we get together in person at something called the 100 Millionaire Summit. Now, normally I would say that we've been on this journey together for 51 weeks, but we haven't, because this year we actually had to speed up the process to align Wealth Principle 52 with the summit. So we did an additional 12 principles. So some were doubled. Show of hands, if you were on some of those doubled sessions. That was intense. There was a lot of work. So we've actually only been on this journey this year for 38 weeks together, and we somehow got into an entire year, all 52 wealth principles. We just did it in 38 weeks. So next year, we'll be able to start with Wealth Principle 1 as soon as the summit is over, which is think $1 million, and we'll go run through the whole process, and it's going to be really, really organized and so much fun because we're coming out of the summit together as a team with our business plan. So with our business plan and thinking $1 million, we get to dive into the strategy of doubling your net worth, doubling your income. Show of hands if you're still committed to doubling your net worth and doubling your income. Awesome. So at the 100 Millionaire Summit, there is a little joke that may or may not come up because I'm really working on it. But if you've noticed, the last 2 times on this call, I've said show of hands, show of hands. I have not said put your hands to the camera. So my goal is at the summit to say show of hands. But for the last 3 years, since Zoom has taken over my mind, I have at some point failed. So this is my goal this year. Show of hands. If you can hold me accountable to the summit to do this the right way, we will see. We will see if I've pulled it off. But I'm feeling pretty confident right now. So at the 52 weeks of wealth, the Wealth Principle 52 is sharpen the saw. If you're familiar with Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, we know that to sharpen the saw means to go back and review your skills and look at where the most advantages are, where you can change the most, tweak the most so that you can become the most successful. Now, success is not all about money. True or true? It's not all about money. Money is just a component to success. I'll explain it very quickly for those of us greedy people who love money so much so we can explain to our friends. Money just allows us to go and, like, Dorina spent a ton of money on her hair yesterday, but doesn't she look beautiful? Let's give Dorina a big round of applause. It looks fantastic. Money allows you to feel more confident. Look at the smile, right? She spent money on a dress yesterday. She feels so much better. And you know what? She got a great deal on that dress, according to her, which is amazing. So let's give her a big round of applause. No, she did get a great deal. It was really good. The point is that money allows you to do things that are special. The summit this year, show of hands if you're excited about getting together with other people who are really successful, wanting success, to learn for 3 days from people who are super successful. So getting to this event is exciting. We've spent almost $125,000 to get to this event. Money is cool. Money allows you to do some really cool things. And you're about to see what is 120. What does that look like at an event? Who here does run events or has been to local networking events or other big events? So you're going to see how we spend 120, because Grant Cardone, I think he spent $2 to $5 million. What was the most he ever spent? Was it 10?
11,000.
11 million. Grant doesn't know what thousands are like anymore. So his biggest event, the big 10X event he runs, he spent $11 million. You're going to see, if you've ever been to 10X, you're going to see how close we can get to that on a $120,000 budget. And it's damn impressive. And the only way we can do something as intense as this is because Dorina has spent the time negotiating, working deals, getting in touch with our speakers. We've brought some really powerful speakers from across the country. In fact, I was on a call yesterday with Vinny Chopra, and Vinny said to me, he said, "Man, I love Alchemist Nation." Now, Vinny is a billionaire. He does not have to speak for us. Bill Allen is a multi-millionaire. He does not have to speak for us. I've had people who are like nowhere near their success try to charge me $50,000, $10,000, $25,000 to speak on our stage because that's what they're worth. But these gentlemen, they fly from across the country. They come in. In fact, Bill Allen's going to be flying himself. He flies his own plane to get there. And they speak with us. And Bill yesterday, he said, "Is it okay if I spend some time with the VIPs for VIP dinner?" And Dorina just texted me. She's like, "Can you believe how humble this guy is? I was asking him if he would come, please." He's like, "Is it okay if I spend some time with them?" And the answer is yes. And Vinny is super excited about spending time with the VIPs. He knows the value in the room of the people who are sitting in the front row. The people who sit in the front row obviously want more. They want to get to that next level, and they're excited. I think, and I spoke with Doug, Greg Simpson. He might be there with the VIPs as well. And it's interesting because they're not showing up to the VIP just because of you and the people in the VIP. They're also showing up because the VIP has all the other speakers. All the speakers who are going to be on the stage are going to be hanging out on the VIP dinner. So they're going to be connecting with each other as well. Show of fans if you understand why speakers are excited for the VIP. It's interesting. Vinny actually said to me, he said, "Hey, who should I connect with? Who in the room should I connect with? All the speakers, all the VIPs, like who's got the most pull, the most reach?" I said, "Well, Elise Michaels got 700,000 followers. Like that might be a good connection." Bill Allen put 700 to 1,200 people in his 7-figure flipping events where he teaches people how to get to 7 figures. So that might be a good connection. And Greg Simpson, has an agency with 80 agents, all over Florida where they're doing deals and they're bringing deals in. So that could be a good connection. And as I was going down the list, I ended up going through all the speakers, and I was like, who's a really super connector is Doug McGurk and Mitch Jorsky. These are the super connectors. These guys know just about anybody who knows just about anybody. They're like literally 1 or 2 relationships removed from pretty much everybody on the planet who's worth knowing somebody. So it was a very interesting conversation. So the principle itself today that we're going into, I got distracted. Show of fans if it's okay to get distracted sometimes, but not at the summit. At the summit, I have to stay 100% focused on what we're doing. Wealth Principle 51 is learn to solve problems. So write this down, actually. So this is one of the rare instances where I'm going to actually break this principle down to multiple different steps. Learn to solve problems. That's step 1. I'm sorry, it's not learn to solve problems. Learn to love solving problems is the Wealth Principle. Learn to love solving problems. That 4-letter word is in there. And it's for a reason. This first part is very, very important. Who here knows you make a lot of money when you do what you love? Show of hands if you know you make a lot of money when you do what you love. Okay. So sometimes in the world, there are things that we think are true that are just not so. So that we love, I absolutely love playing video games, but I've never made a dime from playing video games. Show of hands if anybody like going to the gym? Anybody, or working out or playing sports or spending time hiking or spending time with their friends? Anybody like that? Okay. So I love those things. Never got paid doing them. So it's not about doing what you love. It's learning to love what you do that solves problems for other people. Show of hands if we understand the difference of falling in love with something, finding a way to love something, changing our story around the work. And one of the things I've done with work is I've romanticized the idea of work. When people say, "Oh, I'm working," I'm like, "Oh, cool. I love work. What are you doing?" I love the concept of work because I had to work. Show of hands if you got some work to do. Some people didn't help. There's a lot of things you got out there. So you just got to change the story. So learn to fall in love with solving problems. So the second section of this is solving problems for people. And this is important. You write this down, solving problems for people, because we are entrepreneurs. The only way we make money is we have to solve problems. Now, we can't solve small problems. I spoke with Vinny on this yesterday. And it was one of the coolest, not yesterday, Thursday. One of the coolest things about this was that Vinny was like, "I got the secret sauce. I know what the biggest problem is. I know the big problems," because that's how he got to $1.6 billion of real estate, is he solved big problems for people. And if show of hands, if you're looking to do maybe not $1 billion of real estate, but a lot of real estate, more than you have at the moment, which means you'll need more money. You'll need people to trust you. You need some investors. We were actually talking about that right before this with Juan, who's talking about one of his clients looking to raise some capital, which at the summit, we'll be talking about building that business plan so you can actually raise capital. Unlike other events where they're like, "Oh, you're going to come and learn about it," we're going to build the raising capital business plan with you at the summit so you can leave and go and do the thing. So fans of taking action is way better than just learning about stuff. Yes, I think education alone is useless. It's all about doing it with somebody. So they say, if you teach me, if I hear it, I will forget it. If you teach me, I will remember. If you do it with me, I will be able to do it. I will actually have the ability to do it. Show of hands if you've heard this or seen this in your own life. I want to say it's a Benjamin Franklin quote, but don't quote me on that. And you can drop it in the chat if you know exactly who that is. So as we were talking, me and Vinny were talking, he said, man, this is the one. This is the big one. This is the one that pays the most. This is the one that people have, that if you solve this problem, if you can fall in love, oh my God, if you can fall in love with solving this problem, you can be one of those people who gets paid very, very, very well. Because you remember the principle is you must learn to fall in love with second part for solving problems for people. And the last part of this is and getting rich doing it. It's not just about solving problems. It's about adding that money component to your life and allowing money to flow into your life. So you have to add that third part to that sentence, which is why this principle was so cautiously created, so intentionally created. It is the second and final one. After this, we sharpen the saw and we go back through all the 52 wealth principles and bring yourself back up to speed. This principle kind of encompasses everything about Alchemist Nation and how we operate. So the last part is in getting rich doing it, which is why one of the events we run is called Mission to Millions, where we tie your purpose and your passion, and we put them together to monetize so that you can drive towards $1 million business and not get tired. Show of hands if you see, I'm constantly energized. Like if you tell, like I enjoy what I do. I really do. I enjoy you. I enjoy this company. I enjoy building. I enjoy real estate on some level anyway. I enjoy seeing other people do real estate and being a part of those deals and being able to talk about being a part of those deals. Show of hands if we grasp how honest that is. I like to brag about being in real estate, but I'm not a huge fan of swinging the hammer. Although if you put me in front of a flooring job or a painting job, I start itching and I want to just go do it myself. Show of hands if you enjoy something like that in life, like you have gotten good at something. Excellent. So that's a learned love. Nobody wakes up loving to paint, but at some point you get good at it, you get the compliments, and suddenly you're like, yeah, I could paint that right now. I could get this done. And it can install and come up in anywhere. And I'm not saying paint, don't do that, by the way. Unless you have to, which I remember those days. If you have to paint, go out and paint, save the money, save the 2,000, the 4,000. What I'm saying is learn to fall in love with the concept of solving problems for people and getting rich doing it. So the getting rich doing it means I got to go back to the conversation with Vinny, where Vinny was talking about the biggest problem on the planet that pays the most. By the way, there are bigger problems, right? There are diseases that are wiping people out. There's racism. There is, I think, religious battles that are happening. I think there's war going on in countries that have no right doing war. There's animals going extinct. There are bigger freaking problems. Trust me, I know, I'm aware of it. But there is a big problem in the financial sector that gets you paid. Show fans, if after you get paid, you're going to go help solve some of the other problems, maybe if you could. Awesome. Excellent. I appreciate you. So let's do this. This is important now. We got to figure out the money thing so that we can go and figure out some of the other things. He said the biggest problem that people have, that people pay for, because it's important, what they pay for is money burning a hole in their pocket. When money is burning a hole in their pocket, people take money and they move it to other places because they don't want holes burned in their pockets. Show of hands if you could imagine a hot coal sitting in your jeans pocket. If it's there for more than a second, you're very uncomfortable. If it's there for any longer than a second, you start getting crazy. You start dancing. If it's there for much longer than 2 or 3 seconds, you're physically feeling pain from a hot coal being in your pocket, burning a hole in your pocket. Show of hands if you understand what that intensity might be like, that level of craziness. So the biggest problem on the planet is, well, that you get paid for. I'm very clear. The biggest problem that you get paid for, not a super important problem, but it's super important to the people who have the problem. Because if you had a coal in your pocket, you'd be like, coals aren't dangerous. They're no big deal unless they're in your pocket. True or true? And now it's a dangerous situation. So money belongs moving. The rich people know that. The wealthy people understand money belongs moving. It doesn't belong sitting in your pocket. It never belongs sitting in your pocket. Grant Cardone says it all the time. You don't want money sitting there stagnant. You need it moving. So wealthy people are constantly designed to keep the money moving. They don't like it sitting too long. So if you can solve the problem of money sitting in their pocket, which is solved by a very specific solution, which is having a deal. Show of hands if you've heard this before. You can raise any amount of capital if you have a good enough deal. If you haven't heard that before, we're going to talk about that at the summit. If you have a good enough deal and you're a very good speaker, and you communicate with enough people. So there's some layers to that. You do have to be able to communicate your ideas fluently, and you have to be able to create a visual representation of your ideas. So renderings or pictures or packages. So that form of communication is really, really important. But then you do have to also have the guts to get in front of a whole bunch of people to share. But if you have that capacity to speak and communicate clearly, and the guts to get out in front of people or influence, the ability to draw people in, then you have the capacity to raise any number of money, any amount of money around an idea, as long as you're talking to the right people. Because that's the third caveat. You must target and talk to the right people. Because if you talk to, let's say, my entire family, you're going to have a hard time raising a couple $1 million. Shit, you might have a hard time raising a couple $100,000. So, fans, if that makes sense. Has anybody got a family like mine? It'd be a hard time, right, to pull a couple $100,000 out of them. All right. Anybody got friends like that? Like, this circle's like, it's, well, it's just, I would help you, but the money, I don't have the money. So learn to solve problems for people and getting rich doing it. The other challenge with the third part here is getting rich doing it. This is an emotional thing. And a lot of times, many of you really amazing givers have a hard time with money emotionally coming to you, because you're always giving. Giving is a very outward moving position, and receiving kind of is like the opposite of it. Has anybody ever had a hard time receiving? Somebody offered, you said no thanks, no big deal, yeah, no, don't worry about it. Oh, you don't have to do that, I just do this for free. That is a kind of that is saying no to the universe, kind of breaking a rule. So you have to actually learn to love getting rich. You have to be okay with getting rich, being okay with receiving money. Is any no, I'm not going to ask that question. That's a dangerous question. But let me pitch this. Sometimes you meet somebody who gets into your life and you're having a lot of fun. And for a little while, it makes a lot of sense, like a lot of sense. It's really good. But then at some point, it stops making so much sense. It was never making dollars, but it stops making sense. And then you stay in that relationship for a while just because it's a familiar relationship now, and you stay in it, and things aren't making sense. They're never going to make dollars, but they are just making time pass, and time is going, and you feel guilty about not continuing it because you've been continuing it for so long, but that it's not developing you in any way. Show of hands if you know somebody like that. It doesn't have to be you. You've never been in that situation, but maybe you know somebody who's been in that scenario. Money is a lot the same way. Once it gets used to treating you a certain way, it will continue to treat you that way until you change your standards around money, until you change your relationship around money. And I don't mean out there physically. There's not much physically you have to change. It all starts up here, which I hate when people say the word mindset. So I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is your neurology. This sounds way cooler. Show of hands, neurology sounds way better than mindset. I know. I discovered this 2 days ago when Vinny said mindset, and my mind shut off. And I was like, why did my mind just shut off on a billionaire? This is stupid. Like, I've got a problem. And I realized the word mindset has been used too many times by a bunch of tools who don't actually know what it is. It's so overused that it's not working anymore. Show of hands if we understand. So speakers at the summit, we're going to be using the word neurology so that we can have the actual impact that we're actually looking to have, because we want to rewire people's brains. We don't want to change their mindsets. We want to rewire their brains and get them to that next level. So when you're rewiring something inside your brain, something as powerful as falling in love with the work, something as powerful as falling in love with stuff that you may not even like, and then falling in love with solving problems. Because who here knows somebody who gets anxious around problems? Solving problems is like scary. Like, they don't want to do it, right? So we're running towards what most people are running away from, right? There's a fire. Where are the firefighters moving in, right? If you ever watched The Avengers, who here has watched The Avengers? Familiar with it? All right, drop in the chat. We got to do something very fun because I'm going to use this at the summit. Drop in the chat who your favorite Avenger is. It could be the one you think you are, or the one you wish you were, or the one your spouse is, or it could be the one that you just, like, you would date them if you weren't with your spouse. Like, whatever your favorite Avenger is, drop that in the chat. Maybe it's your alter ego. It's the side of you that you wish you were, but you're glad you're not. Everybody's got an Avenger they love. So drop your favorite Avenger in the chat. Maybe it's the Avenger. Then you sat down with your friends. People are like, oh, yeah, you're definitely that one. And you're like, yeah, I'm definitely that one. Let's go. So drop your Avenger in the chat, whichever one you have the most relationship with or enjoy. And yes, Jason, I can see you being low-key. That totally makes sense. He's like the one character nobody would pick except for Jason. So fantastic. Okay, we got Iron Man, we got Captain America. Hawkeye, good choice. Tony Stark, excellent. Excellent. Tony. Yeah, I think a lot of people embrace Tony. Thor, of course. Drop it in the chat. Who is Nikola Tesla? Killing me, Miles. I love it. Doctor Strange. Yes. Excellent. Captain America. Very cool. Show of hands if you have not seen the Avengers. Anybody not seen the Avengers? Okay, Deborah, go watch just one of them and you'll totally get it now. And you'll be like, okay, this makes sense. Spider-Man, good call. It makes sense. Now at the summit, I'm going to title each one of the professions that we serve in Alchemist Nation, our trusted team, as an Avenger, which is going to be very cool. Because I want to know, for everybody who said Tony Stark and isn't what Tony Stark ends up being, I apologize in advance. There was only one profession I could put Tony Stark in, and I had to kind of put it in the one that used a lot of technology and did a lot of really cool stuff and helped build millionaires, because that's kind of my primary focus. Show of hands if you're excited for that talk. It's on day one. It's pretty early in the day. It's actually, I think it's my first talk on stage where I get to explain what Alchemist Nation is. It's kind of like the Avengers. And then I explain why each one of our team members is so important and what they do. So let's give yourselves a round of applause really quickly. All right, so how do we fall in love? How do we fall in love with things that we don't like? We have to go down a process. We have to go down a neural pathway in our brain that has pre-existingly been wired for a very long time, that states when you hit pain, stop. This is on our lizard brain side. This is on the remote, just you hit pain, stop doing it. Don't do that again. If something causes pain for you, don't do it again. Unfortunately, the brain has wired itself and has become very used to the idea of boredom, conflict, or long times taken on tasks, and looked at those and said, those are pain. It automatically just put those into pain section and said, I don't want to do those. Let's avoid those. So fans, if you are familiar with those pathways, you've seen that in your own life. This is where procrastination comes up. It says, well, it's more painful to go do the task, so we can put it off for a little bit. Let's conserve our energy for pain. Let's hold back and see if something, because we found sometimes when we procrastinate, somebody else does it. So fans, if you've learned the magic trick I learned around getting dishes done. Yes. Well, here's what I learned is if I just do it, somebody else is getting away with not doing it. And so oftentimes if I see dishes in the sink, I just wash the dishes, because the person who lives in the house doesn't mind. She deserves the opportunity to get away with things now and then. So fans, if you love your spouse enough to, clean things up for them sometimes, me too, I get it. So when you're looking at this neural pathway that exists of, it's naturally going to avoid things that take long times. It's going to naturally avoid anything that brings up any kind of conflict ever. And it's going to naturally avoid anything that could ever change your situation, because change is also dangerous. You've been in changes and made mistakes, and then it hurt. So if you know that naturally you are wired to avoid these things, then you know that you'll never go and do them unless you install a new program. And the only way to install that new program was, well, Doug's going to probably walk us through a process today where we can install that new program. And then at the summit, he's going to go through a really powerful series of powerful process to make sure that we eliminate procrastination, that we move towards our goals. And if we haven't identified truly what we want to be, show of hands if you know some people out there, I just don't know what they want to be when they grow up yet. And I feel that way sometimes myself, and I can't wait to sit through the session with Mike, with Doug. And here's what's interesting. Doug will be helping you figure out who you want to be when you grow up. Not in any kind of weird way, but you will travel through time, which is why I posted a picture of the DeLorean the other day. We won't physically be traveling in time. Like, our physical bodies will be there, but our minds will actually be able to go back, come back to the future and to the present, and actually make changes based on the theory of your own mindset. Show of hands if you understand that kind of time travel is real. You can travel back and forth in time within your own mind, within your own pathways. So you're using memories and you're using forecasting. The ability to perceive potential futures is something that you have as a human being that other animals cannot do. Other animals cannot do this. You are actually what separates us, well, aside from the opposable thumb, which monkeys do have, what separates us truly is our communication, our language, and our ability to think into the future. So our fears, which false evidence appearing real, our fears of people are stopping us from being.
Put in phone. Will you type it in for me?
I gotta mute you, Lou, but appreciate you, brother. So the principle here, the first part of it is to fall in love with the work itself. The second part is solving problems. And that's where most of us stray away. So I've got a couple of strategies, things that you can do to solve these problems a little bit faster. Show of hands if you like action steps, things you can do. Excellent. So the first is unlimited income potential by solving the problems effectively, getting good at one problem instead of multiple things. If you want to get really, really good at making a lot of money, solve one. Don't solve lots of problems, solve one problem for one type of person who has a lot of money. If I were to give you the cheat code of life, I would tell you what Vinny has told me, solve the capital problem, just raise capital. That's the biggest problem. People just want their money to go invest somewhere else. So just go and find those people and invest their money into something else. Be good at it, right? That is the highest leverage. If you want the lifestyle of living on yachts and hanging out with wealthy people and golfing all day and not having to lift a finger, there are three parts of real estate: deals, money, labor. Money is the most fun of all of them. Deals means it's a grind. It's a lot of calls. It's trying to find the next deal, locking things down. It can be a lot of work. Wholesaling, real estate agency, it's a lot of work. Then the labor side, I think the word itself says it all. That's the property management side. There's a lot of work involved in property management. There's a lot of money in it, as Roland knows, because people don't want to do the work, especially this modern group of people. And the people who own the most real estate, which I'll talk about at the summit as well, the biggest demographic, are in their 60s. They're in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. They don't have the ability to do the work anymore. So management is becoming a more lucrative situation. But of the fun ones, I would say money is the most fun. Raising capital is by far the easiest, the most fun thing that you can do. And it's just basically networking and being a decent human being. Show of hands if you understand. At the summit, I will talk a lot about my favorite version of making money, which is helping others take the money that's in their pocket, burning a hole, and moving into other people's deals. Number two, deep fulfillment. You must attach some sort of deep fulfillment to your work. Otherwise, it feels like work. You want it to feel like work. You want it to feel good when you get into work, like exciting. So you have to tie it to some sort of deep fulfillment. For me, Alchemist Nation, I think of back when I had absolutely nothing. I'm thinking of the person who has nothing, who's hanging on by a thread, or just wants more for their life, and their dream is so freaking close. Like, that gets me so pumped up to do some of the BS that I don't like to do, like PowerPoint. It's torture to me, but I do it. I did a lot of it last night. I did a lot the day before, because I know that people are visual. And although I love speaking, like today, I'm not using a PowerPoint because I spent all my cells building PowerPoints for the summit the past few weeks. But I know that people are visual, and it's a lot easier to see the words pop on the screen as I'm saying things. So I have to preordain what's going to be on the screen. Show of hands if you understand. My passion's all that gets me through it. The fact that I love you and I want to see you get to the next level, it's all that pulls me through in those dark moments. And it is dark at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. If you've been up at those times, it is dark. Those are dark moments. Number three, endless opportunities. Endless opportunities. As a problem solver, you'll discover that where others see challenges, you see money. I had a mentor of mine. He said he was a plumber. So as a plumber, he understands some shit. It's plumber's joke. The only time I get to use it is here. And he said to me, he said, when I smell the worst smells on the planet, when it's really shitty in a house, he said, I know I'm making money. He said, I smell the smell of shit, and I start getting excited as I get closer. If it smells worse, I'm like, nobody wants to touch this. I'm getting really paid today. And this is his mindset, is like, the worse it looks, the worse it smells, the more I'm going to charge. Show of hands if you understand. That's a shitty business, but man, he makes a lot of money. Anybody who's ever had to hire a plumber knows exactly what we're talking about. When it's septic or sewage, it's like game over, man. The whip out your checkbook. It's party time. Market leadership. Your ability to innovate and solve problems, positions you as a leader in your industry. When you're able to specialize, when you're able to dive into one specific problem, say, look, this is the only problem I solve. I'm good at other things, but I don't do them. This is all I'm great at. This is my one thing that I'm really good at. Like Jen Sullivan does with the books. Right? She's like, all I do, she does not write normal books. She only writes books for people who are in business, who are building wealth. That's a very specific niche. She only writes books for people who are in business, building wealth, and want to contribute to society in a positive manner. And so the clients she's worked with and consulted with and done business with are super good people. They're in Alchemist Nation. They're helping others. They're giving back. They're contributing. They're conspiring for other people's success. So fans, if you like working with authors like that, you read books like that, of course, me too. And by specializing and saying, hey, I'll write the book for you, and it's only going to be on this, and the book has to lead to a conversation. The book has to lead to a sale. Who here would love to write a book where it leads to money? That makes more sense to write a book where it leads to a sale, because we know we don't make money on books. That's crazy to think you're going to make money on the $3 Amazon sends you. You have to sell millions of books to make millions of dollars. It'd be really, really hard. Number 5, impact legacy. You have the power to leave a lasting legacy by making a positive impact on the lives of others. If you solve problems for family offices, here's a fun one. You solve problems for hedge funds. You're changing literal lives, like all across the nation, because the amount of dollars you're playing with, they move and they can have that kind of impact on big scales. If you're doing it with people with $100,000, when you invest $100,000, you buy a $500,000 property. Maybe that's a 3-family, a 5-family, a 6-family that has now 6 families in it who are getting housing that's clean, safe, and taken care of. That's changing impact. How many lives do you want to impact? How many people do you want to leave a legacy for? How many changes, cities, areas would you like to adjust? At the summit, I may talk about how I changed blocks in my own city by buying the real estate in a single block. And I changed how that block was. It was not so great an area. In fact, I buy on the line. I always buy on the line. This is a rule of real estate. I buy on the line. You know, good area, bad area. So I'm right there. My goal is always to make the good area move over a little bit. My goal is to be on the line and then pull the good area over. I don't buy deep in the ghetto because it scares me, and it's hard to pull the line that far away. So I go on the line and I just pull it over. And every so often I can push back into, so we can slowly take it over because I have the momentum of the great area behind me. So fans, if we understand, momentum is important. Momentum is really important, especially in your success and in your life. All right, so long wealth principle, but it's my favorite. I say that a lot. They're all my favorite on some level. You need them all, right? You put them all together, you stack them all together. Your success is important enough to spend the time in your business, in your life, for the 20 minutes it takes after this principle to go and implement it into your business. And every day for 20 minutes, if you take the meditation of putting this system into your life every day for 20 minutes, then your life changes in monstrous ways because the neurology is changing. The habits are changing. Those little things that make you successful are changing. So what I want you to do is very quickly, if you already wrote it down, write down the sentence again. Learn to fall in love. Second part, with solving problems for people. And a third part, and getting rich doing it. And we have a book of the week each week. Mitch, since our friend Mike isn't here today, would you mind doing this week's book of the week?
Not at all, especially because it is an awesome book that is right in my wheelhouse.
It is between you and Doug, I think you guys are best known for this strategy. So Mitch Chorsky is not the keeper of the books, but he is best friends with Mike Cheyenne, and so ordained to be our backup keeper of the books this week. Let's give Mitch Chorsky, the Scaredy Cat Guide to Real Estate Investing, a big round of applause. What is this week's book of the week? And by the way, there is a book to every principle. The reason we read 52 books a year and we do 52 wealth principles because that's how many there are. And if you want to get an unfair advantage, the average person reads one book a year, maybe learns one principle a year and never implements it. And most of them will never read the full book. They just read the first chapter and they stop. So to read the full book and then read 52 books gives you a 52-to-1 advantage over the average human being, which, show of hands if you like unfair advantages, I believe you deserve them too. As long as you're a good person, you commit to doing all your deals morally, ethically, legally. Let's give Mitch Jaworski a big round of applause. What is this week's book of the week?
Thank you, sir. Well, it's funny you mentioned Doug, because Doug literally is the living example of this book. Blue Fishing by Steve Sims. And this is one I actually listened to on audio, which I actually suggest doing audio on this one because the dude is super entertaining. He's got his English, British accent, whatever it is. And it's just, you don't feel like you're reading a book. You feel like you're part of a story, part of a journey. But at the end of the day, it's all about essentially connections. And he is basically a one-man human concierge service. And by developing all these different connections and developing good experiences for people, he essentially has turned his relationships into a business. And that's the biggest thing is, he's figured out a way to, monetize it with it still feeling very natural. It doesn't feel like a business. But if you want to see what the power of relationships can do, just listen to this book or read this book, and you'll see why those mantras like your network is equal to your network exist. Steve Sims is a living example of it. So this is why not only is networking great, but also just connecting people to help them better themselves, to help them get ahead. And like Walter mentions this a lot with, Doug and even myself. We just have a knack for pairing people. It's like, oh, well, I know so-and-so that would be great for XYZ with you on that. And it basically is one of those, mutually beneficial scenarios, the win-wins and all that stuff. So at a minimum, it builds a lot of goodwill and makes you feel good inside. At a maximum, you end up getting some kind of compensation for it. So either way, it's a win. And like I said, win-wins are the best. So check it out. And then when you're done listening to that, make sure you tune into the Alchemist Nation podcast that me and Andrew McMurray co-host. We got all the awesome speakers on there. We got them all out before the summit. So you can get a little taste of everyone that you're going to get some knowledge dropped from at the summit. And then we have more awesome guests lined up for you after the summit that from all walks of life. So just get it done.
Let's give Mitch Jaworski a big round of applause. Him and Andrew are crushing it on the podcast. The book of the week, again, is Blue Fishing by Steve Sims. He's got an Australian accent, so when you listen to the book, it really helps with the story. It comes across, and if you go far enough back on the Alchemist Nation podcast, I actually interviewed Steve Sims and had him on the podcast. So first listen to the book, then go listen to the podcast, and it is that much more fun because it's actually him. And I would watch it on YouTube because then you actually get to see me and him interacting on the podcast, which was, for me, very exhilarating. It was a lot of fun to be talking to the actual Steve Sims who wrote this book and has, hung out with 90-something billionaires in his career, and not just hung out, but worked for them and done business with them, which is really, really cool. So fans, that's really cool. Cool connection. Also, one of the cool things that we were talking about is that Mitch just said, is it's about connecting with other people. It's about moving towards relationships and bringing people together. And our ambassadors have invited and brought, I want to say, almost 100 people to this year's 100 Millionaires Summit. So let's give our ambassadors a big round of applause. It's a lot of teamwork, and it's a lot of faith in yourself that you're going to take that relationship to the next level. Show fans are committed to taking every relationship you connect with at the summit to the next level, building your relationships, really leveling them up and getting yourself and them to become more successful. Because remember, it's 100 millionaires inspired to build 100 millionaires. And if I removed the original, if I take this and I go all the way back to the original, I just used to teach people, look, if you help 100 millionaires, you'll be rich. That was my original strategy for building millionaires. I just told people, look, here's a list of 100 millionaires in your city. Call them up, ask them what they want. If 10% work with you, you're going to be successful. It's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. 10 millionaires will help you get to become a millionaire. Show fans if you understand why my principle was so successful. And it still works today. So each one of you has an opportunity. And Doug has now co-host ability. And that opportunity is to listen to this next session and take action in your life and doing something that takes you to the next level. So I want you to focus on one of the three. Don't try to do them all at once, but whichever one you feel is most important to you, whether it's falling in love with the work, learning to fall in love with solving problems, or if it's no solving problems. Yeah, so learning to love solving problems, or for people, or if it's the money side of it and getting rich doing it, whichever one you feel you need the most work around, I would just make the decision for yourself, because Doug won't know where you're at, but he will walk through the process. So if you can be the one who decides, okay, this is where I want to really let this thing hit and sink in the most. If you do feel you need all three, excellent. Leverage them all and experience them all at the same super high 10 level and take it. But I want to 80-20 with you, whichever one you really feel is missing the most in your life. Let's take care of that today. Show of hands, we understand the instructions. The wealth principle is learn to love solving problems for people and getting rich doing it. So Doug, if you can bring us through a neurology shifting meditation. You are muted.
Let's give Walter a hand, and Trina and everyone on the team. Excellent. Thank you. So excited to see you all. Just out of curiosity on the call, how many all are coming next weekend? Do we have oh, awesome.
I believe everybody. It's every hand and face you see on here will be in the room.
Outstanding. All right. Well, so excited to, for those of you whom I haven't met in person, so excited to meet you in person. I hope everyone has got their hug and arms ready for Stephen, because he's going to be wide open and available for extra hugs. So with that being said, why don't we all get some music going? There you go. Can you hear the music?
Yeah, and if you're driving, keep driving, stop listening. If you are not driving, well, then enjoy yourself.
Enjoy. And that goes without saying. So why don't you go ahead and take a nice, big, deep cleansing breath in. And exhale and relax. And take another nice, big cleansing breath in. Close your eyes, roll your eyes up to the back of your head till you feel a little strain. And relax even more. That's right. So as you find yourself even more comfortable, with each breath you take in now, allow yourself to go deeper and deeper into relaxation. As though you're descending a staircase of tranquility. And imagine yourself standing at the entrance of a vast mansion, representing the vastness of your real estate and entrepreneurial world. And as you open the grand door, you find yourself in a hallway filled with doors, each representing an opportunity or a challenge. And with confidence, you'll walk this hallway, won't you? Knowing behind each door is a problem waiting for your solution and a chance for immense wealth, for unlimited abundance. And as you walk deeper into the mansion's hallway, you recall a story from your childhood, a tale that sowed seeds of your passion for problem solving. And you remember being just a child, playing with intricate puzzle sets. While most children would become frustrated or disinterested when they couldn't find where to place a piece, you found immense joy and love in the challenge. Each puzzle was a new landscape of opportunities, a canvas waiting for your touch. And one day you came across a particularly challenging puzzle. A beautiful image of a vibrant cityscape, mirroring the real estate landscapes of today. The pieces were so similar, yet each held its unique place. With determination and a smile, you embraced the challenge. Hours turned into minutes as you became engrossed, piece by piece. The city coming to life under your fingertips. When you finally placed the last piece, a feeling of accomplishment washed over you. Not because you completed the puzzle, but because you enjoyed the process. You loved the challenge. And this childhood memory serves as a metaphor for your current journey in real estate, financing, business building, and entrepreneurship. Just like that intricate puzzle, you don't just seek to solve the challenges you face, you truly love the process of finding the solution. The intricate dance of numbers and financing, the potential behind every property in real estate, and the challenge of scaling a business. These aren't just tasks for you. They are puzzles you adore. Puzzles you are passionate about solving. So I wonder if you could connect even more to your higher power and say these affirmations in your head or even aloud. I naturally see solutions in every real estate challenge. My understanding of financing grows stronger each day. Every problem I solve in business builds to my prosperity. The value I provide is reflected in the wealth I accumulate. I am a magnet for real estate opportunities. Now, imagine a scenario where a complex real estate problem is presented to you. With clarity and ease, you navigate the intricacies, providing a solution that benefits all parties involved. Next, picture a challenging financing situation. Your deep understanding and innovative thinking turn it into a profitable venture. Lastly, envision a business that needs restructuring. Your strategies streamline its operations, leading to immense growth and profitability. So each time you encounter a challenge in real estate, financing, or business building, you'll instantly tap into your inner reservoir of solutions, won't you? And every handshake, every deal, every negotiation reminds you of your unique ability to turn problems into prosperity. And whenever you hear the word opportunity, your mind will instantly be flooded with innovative solutions and strategies. So the next time you look at a property or a business deal, you'll see not just the present, but the immense potential it holds. So as we come to the end of this brief session, as we rewire our brain, our neurology, take a deep breath in now and start to become aware of your surroundings. Know that the insights, confidence, and the mindset you've tapped into will remain with you. And as I count from 1 to 5, you'll awaken refreshed, empowered, and ready to take on the world of real estate, financing, and business building. 1, feeling more awake. 2, becoming more aware of your surroundings. 3, feeling empowered and energized. 4, taking these feelings with you. And 5, eyes open, awake, and ready to create your legacy.
I love that Doug ended on legacy. Let's give Doug McGurk a big round of applause. Doug will be carrying us through the entire summit. He's bringing the energy. He's got some experiential training that he'll be walking you through. So if you're having any kind of blocks around money, around communication, around some of the strategies we're talking about, he's going to make sure that you're able to release them immediately in the moment so that you can go home from this event actually doing things that you said you were going to do without feeling the should word come up over and over. Show of hands if you understand you've experienced that at other events where you go and then you're like, okay, I'm supposed to do all this stuff, and then blockages occur. So our goal is to make sure that we don't have those. So we brought somebody in who knows how to do that. He spent 3 years coaching and touring with Tony Robbins, coaching Tony Robbins clients and students and bringing that awareness into people. And then for over, I think it's 2 decades now, he's been helping people move themselves from one place to another place through his ability to identify what is actually stopping and causing people's problems. And he wrote a book called Under Construction, and the big picture on the book is a big brain. And it was because he was helping people move from addiction and habits that were causing them pain and moving out into more empowering habits. Show of hands if that's really all we're doing here is we're just moving to empowering habits that move us to a better place. So Doug is very special for our community, and he's really helped move a lot of people. And so it's really, really important that every session that Doug is in, you're in fully present. Turn the cell phone off, make sure it's on vibrate the entire weekend for the most part, except for the networking side where you do have your cell phone. So I don't want you turning it off, but I do want you turning the cell phone to silent. Does that make sense at the summit? I just don't want it buzzing or distracting you while you're going through some of these processes, because I'm telling you, that's the moment. That's the moment of change where your subconscious mind is going to say, I got to go to the bathroom, or let me just take a look at my phone. Let me just scroll Facebook. Whenever you feel those moments of, I need to just go check on something, that's probably because there's a blockage we're about to go through, and that's about to get cleared up for you. So I'm going to ask you to go just dig deep and push through what your subconscious mind is trying to keep you right where you're at, and allow yourself to get to the other side. I'm telling you there will be fun, but I'm also telling you there will be work this weekend. Show of hands if you understand there will be work at the 100 million or so. It's the neurology kind of work. So it's the heavy lifting. And a really successful person, I think it was actually Brian Kent, who was on the call a little while ago. He said, my biggest hobby is thinking. And I knew the response. I said, man, like thinking is the heaviest work, the hardest work on the planet, which is why most people avoid it. Most people avoid thinking. And Brian, I see you're in the store, man. I don't know if you can unmute the mic, but there we go. He's giving us the thumbs up. So Brian,
I got you.
And your sound came through good. If you could prepare somebody for the summit, what would be the best advice you'd give them for the next 6 days to get their mindset into the right space?
For me, it's really just starting to think about what I want to accomplish at the conference. 2, what are the goals that I'm already setting for myself in attending? Because based on the people that are coming and the type of people that I know that I've invited, is building my network stronger and building opportunities for the whole team.
Excellent. And if you haven't already watched Brian Kent's podcast with Mitch Chorsky, his interview with Mitch Chorsky and with Andrew, then you want to go back and listen to the podcast, because you'll get to know a lot of where his background comes from. He will be speaking on stage on Friday, and he'll be going through the goals process, and he'll also be releasing his book. And so we're having 2 books released at this year's 100 Millionaire Summit on the Saturday. We're going to be celebrating with our millionaire ceremony. We're going to be celebrating some book launches, and we're going to be signing books. So I won't tell you what his book is yet, because I don't want to take any of that thunder away from Brian when he's on stage. So let's give Brian Kent a big round of applause. It's very, very, very exciting. So this is the part where we do Q&A. Before we do Q&A, I want to let everybody know that before this call started, we had 4 VIP tickets left, and then Roland Charles went and bought his VIP tickets. So now there's only 3 VIP tickets left. So let's give Roland Charles a big round of applause. If you know somebody who's looking to get into the VIP, now's the time to do it. The tickets are just about running out, and the people who have been in VIP before are very, very happy with what the experience they got. But the speakers this year are even better. They're bigger, they're more interesting, and they will be in the room with us. So my suggestion is, if you know that money is tight, and you're looking for the right connections to get to that next level, cool, buy VIP. If you know that money is not tight and you've got the money to spend and the connections at the VIP are going to get you to the next level, cool, go get the VIP. If you know that, like Roland said to us, said, man, you guys have delivered so much value to me as an individual over the past year, I just had to buy VIP just to pay it forward, just to be a part of this and say that I've contributed something to this amazing community, then I get that too. Join the VIP and hang out with Roland Charles, because he is a player and he's getting to that next level because he's bringing other people along with him. He's not doing it by himself. So the VIP tickets, Darina told me, she said, you know what, you should mention to everybody what's in the VIP tickets. Show fans, you've heard me do this before, and it's a lot of fun. Let me get my bag of goodies. Give me 1 second. By the way, people don't get into VIPs because of the swag bag. They don't get, that's not the reason. Show fans, if you know, that's not the reason a person buys a VIP ticket. No way. No, sorry. People don't buy the VIP ticket because it comes with a sweet sweater. That is, by the way, the softest sweater that I now own. In fact, I have seen Darina out of this sweater just a handful of times since they've come in. And the only reason she's wearing another shirt right now, she's wearing a 100 Millionaire shirt. That is literally the softest shirt that we have ever owned in our house. Let's give Darina a round of applause, because she found what you were looking for. She found material. And gentlemen, you're going to love this. She found material it's tight around the arms and the upper body, but it's not tight around the waist. It makes you look, I look like a superhero when I wear these things. So I absolutely love these shirts. And the hoodies, I've had a problem with hoodies my entire career. I put them on my head and I used to have hair and it would be annoying. These hoodies stretch really wide so you can put them on your head, but then they go right back to being nice and warm. When I lived in New England, this was a problem. Now it's not a problem. If you got our hoodies last year, they were a little thicker, they were a little tougher. These are super soft, super, super flexible, super soft. So let's give Darina a big round of applause. VIPs, you get in the hoodies. You also get the backpack. So the backpack, now embroidered with AN. So if you're proud of AN, you can wear the backpack everywhere. I use this at the gym. I use it every single day to carry my gym equipment around, and it's resilient. It's also 17-inch laptop friendly, because I use a 17-inch laptop because I'm an accountant by trade, and that's exactly the laptop that has little hand numbers on the right side. Show fans, remember the hand numbers of the keyboards? Yeah, my laptop has to have those because that's where I type. I type so fast with the right hand. And so it fits my laptop inside of here, because I told Darina I want the VIPs to have a backpack that they can use. Because in the past, we had these flimsy little bags. We thought they looked good online. I swear they looked good online. But when we ordered them, not so good. This year, I think she only ordered 100. This is not VIPs. This is everybody. These bags, if you look at the size of the string, this thing is super thick. This is the opposite of all those cheesy bags you've ever gotten at other events. These bags are actually legitimate, strong. Like, you can use these all over the place. Show fans if you're thankful for the quality. The Russian princess has done a lot of negotiations. So the other reason that people don't buy VIP is not for the lanyard that is very special and says VIP all over it. It is not to sit in the front row seat, although walking around with these white lanyards that say VIP when everybody else is wearing black lanyards that say general, which, by the way, nothing wrong with being generally in the room, but the black compared to the white stands out Show of hands if you understand. It's not the lanyard that they buy the VIP ticket for. It's not the reason. It's not the reason. No way. And it's not the full mastermind day with me on Thursday where we're talking about scaling their business and going deep into their particular business with each person in the room. That can't be the only reason that people buy VIP. And no, it's not for sitting in the front row so they can meet all the speakers and hang out with us and be the ones that get called on and get all the fame and publicity from every person behind you. Although show of hands, if you notice, when you stand in the front row and you talk, everybody behind you sees you, recognizes you. So that's not the reason the VIPs buy VIP. The reason is because they know something that everybody else in the room may not know until they show up. But once they do show up, they are very keenly aware the VIPs are very important people. And they know how to network with very important people. They know if they hang out with people who think they're very important people also, their business is going to explode. And so the reason me and Dorina always buy VIP when we go to events, or we buy a diamond, or we buy like whatever the highest level ticket that the person is putting out there, we buy those tickets because the other people in the room also bought those tickets. And it allows us the opportunity for those exclusive moments together. It's not for the it's not for the VIP dinner where we get to hang out with all the speakers. By the way, show of hands if you know these speakers are pretty important people to get pictures with and have conversations with and get your questions asked. They answer a lot of questions over dinner. They answer questions on the limo ride. You can get the limo ride with Vinny. Like, you just show up when the limo is there and Vinny is waiting for it. You can be on a limo with Vinny Smile Chopra. Show of hands if you understand. You can be in the limo with the speaker. It's cool. Not everybody will fit at the there's 2 limo rides I think that happen, and it continues all night long while we're doing this. And that is not the reason people get VIP. People get VIP for a lot of different reasons. The truth be told, Roland Charles got VIP just because he said, look, you guys have paid it forward this entire year. I love what you're doing and I want to be a part of it. And that, I know that VIP ticket is like a way for me to do that. And so it was an investment in Alchemist Nation. It was an investment in what he's already gained for us. So let's give Roland Charles a big round of applause. So VIP tickets, there's only 3 left. And for the people who do jump in, I can't wait to hang out with you on Thursday. I commit to over-delivering as always, and I'll help prepare you for how we make the most out of the summit itself, how we can leverage the relationships in the room, how we can tackle the room and make sure we're getting the most out of it, because you're VIPs and you made a decision to spend time with me, which means I'm going to make the decision to give you the best value that I absolutely can do. Show of hands if you're saying that's the relationship we've agreed to. Also, one thing I have learned is that people who are your friends will pay you in business. Here's found that people you do business with tend to be your friends over time because you're doing a lot of business with them. If you haven't gotten that far in business, this is how it works. The more time you spend with somebody, the more friendly you become, the more dinners you have together, the more experiences you have together, the more memories you have together. And so for me, I know very personally that the people who spend the money on the VIP are looking to be personal friends of mine and have a relationship. So that is one of the things I noticed with the VIPs. So let's give the VIPs a big round of applause. I can't wait to hang out with you. It's going to be very exciting for me, and it's going to be very exciting for you because you've already registered and confirmed yourself as somebody who wants to go to that next level. At the end of these, we've gone way over, but I'm just so excited because the summit is literally 6 days away. And I'm like, it's finally here. We had all year. We built all these relationships. We built all of these different events. We built all these trainings. Man, I spent almost 8 hours in the real estate prediction 2 days ago, like almost 8 hours at night, like putting this together. And I cannot wait to reveal it to you. It is simple enough to understand. I had to do that. That was work. It was simple enough to understand, but it is so impactful and so powerful. And you're going to be able to use this to make a ridiculously unfair advantage for yourself in the market. Show of hands if you're okay with being advantaged, to be able to not take advantage, but take advantage of opportunities that are going to inevitably show themselves in the market. We're real estate investors, so we got to be careful. People don't think we're taking advantage of other people, but we are taking advantage of situations that other people put themselves already in. We're not creating them. True or true? We didn't create the problem, but we sure will show up and solve it. So at this point, we're going to open it up to questions. Stephen Beaver, they're all yours. And before we do, I do want to remind each one of you that you are the most important person, not just in your life, but in your community's life. And if you haven't stepped up as a leader yet, somebody is having that effect right now. Somebody's hurting to the degree that they haven't met you. Somebody's pain is occurring in their life because you haven't stepped up. You haven't become a part of their life. And if you have forgotten how important and powerful you are, just remember that time where you saved somebody, where you helped somebody, where somebody needed your help and you were there. Imagine if you hadn't shown up that time. So if you haven't stepped up as a leader, if you haven't started bringing people together and servicing their problems and finding out what their problems are, to that degree, you are not helping, and you're actually causing a problem in the world and in the universe, because your capacity to help is missing. Show of hands if you understand that responsibility to be out helping, to be out there doing it. There's a saying from a movie called The Boondock Saints where they say it's not the sins of bad men, it's the ignorance or the negligence of good men that is the biggest sin on this planet, or the most dangerous thing. It's when good people don't do things that they know they could do or should do, and that's what causes problems. That's what causes all the pain in the world, is when good people stay small. Good people belong being bigger, and you belong being a leader, and you belong going out and helping people, because there is a lot of problems out there because of the lack of your existence in that space. Show fans if you understand that level of commitment, that understanding what truly is happening. That's what I like to call truth, that sometimes we're forgetting about, because it's easy to just look in our little space and forget the pain of other people outside. So you do have to get out. You do have to step up. And I know it's work, but I'm here. I'm doing it. I'll do it with you. So let's give each one of our leaders a big round of applause. Leaders who are presently actively out running events, leaders who are building and going to build events, we appreciate it. Even though all yours. Yeah, go ahead. Questions, by the way, are a sign that you've been taking action. So if you don't have questions, I'm going to assume you've been doing nothing this week. But if you do have questions, it means you've taken some level of action, because questions are only a result of things done. Oh, and Steven, your microphone's not working. That explains a lot.
Can I ask a question?
Roland, go ahead, brother.
So, as everyone may know, I have a book launch on November 11th. I wanted to know, Galter, if it was okay if I posted in the chat about that, it would be okay.
When is it?
November 11th, the week after the Alchemist Nation event.
Yeah, man. What I would also request is that you do a video, a reel on Alchemist Nation, and you start with the problem and then agitate the problem a little bit, and then say that I solved this problem in my book, and here's some of the tips that are in my book, and my book launches on the 11th. And I would totally say post that, because it's valuable content. It's something that if it solves a problem, if the book doesn't solve a problem, then you wouldn't have written it. So.
Right. I think the true value is the supporting the Down syndrome individuals, so the children and the adults that have Down syndrome, and Gigi's Playhouse. And so the ultimate goal of the book launch is to raise some money for them, right? And so while the book does have value, it takes people from, acquisition all the way to disposition of the real estate cycle and property management, and doing it in a Zen way, so you don't have gray hair in your piece. My goal is to try to get as much money as I can for Gigi's Playhouse.
Then yeah, you got permission for me, man. Drop it in the chat. I'd be a bad man if I said no. Go ahead, Steven. Is your sound working now?
Can you hear me now?
We hear you now.
All right. Manuel, you're on. I said, Roland, you're up. Manuel, you're on deck. Manuel had a question earlier. De Silva, bring it on, brother.
Oh, got it. What's the mistake Walter mentioned in a post on purchasing a rooming house? I assume management. Manuel, you assume well. It was multiple things. One, I don't have experience in rooming houses. I should have either gotten a mentor, or at least had a conversation with somebody who'd done them before, or even read a book about it, or jumped in a coach. I could have done so much more. So one, understanding the process of rooming houses. Two, I could not find a manager who would take it over. I had give me a second, Roland. I had a property manager lined up who then got in and said, nope, not doing this. So not even management issues, just not even being able to put a manager in place. So it wasn't necessarily the management itself. But then, yes, once I couldn't put a manager in place, then it became a management issue. And I realized I wanted absolutely nothing to do with this heavy, intensive type of property. And so we flipped it. It made $180,000. And Ron and I are pretty proud of that deal, because we didn't work too hard on it. because we got out before it became an absolute headache and nightmare. Go ahead, Roland.
And so for the rooming house, I just wanted to add some value. And so rooming houses have notoriously been challenging because of all the issues that Galter mentioned, the turns, the flips, the house being dirty, which is why pad split is making it easier for investors to have rooming houses and quadruple their income without having the heavy lift that you normally would have. So if you're interested in rooming houses, Pad Split is a very similar platform to Airbnb, except it focuses on an affordable housing problem, focuses on multiple units being in the house and multiple people paying per week per room. So it's definitely an area a platform that you want to look into if you're looking to deal with rooming houses.
And Roland, I might have Greg Simpson talking about Pad Split at the 100 Millionaire Summit this year. Show of fans if that'd be something you'd be interested in learning more about. A strategy that works even in places like Florida, where single family homes are the primary, but you could turn them into rooming houses. So we may be talking about that. So Roland, if you could do me a huge favor, can you text Taylor and tell Taylor she needs to be at the summit? Because Greg is going to do that and Doreen is going to do that. But I think that having you also say that will create some impact.
I'll call Taylor, and I have a couple other people that I can call as well to try to get them, because I have some people in Orlando, like Ray. He was one of the first people that contacted me back when Pad Split started in Tampa back in 2018, 2019. And so I've been working with them, and I'm very deep in their leadership. So I can get some other folks as well if we can't get Taylor.
Let's get it. Let's give Roland Charles a round of applause.
More questions, Summit? Anything you are interested in? Deals, money, or labor? If you're going to the summit and you don't have one of those three, we need to do a strategy session. Because you're going to the summit for the wrong reason. You got to go there and find that person that got the deal or got the money or has the labor that you need. We should be talking. So get out there and figure out if you don't. I know almost everybody here has one at least that they need. So make.
I think you just muted. Yeah, we lost them. All right. So the question that you have. So if you were to have a question, I'll mute your mic. Just be the first. There it is. Josh.
Yes.
I see you, brother.
How you doing, Golder? So I was just thinking here, when say you're at the summit, you want to find a partner, but you're looking for a capital partner. How do you convince them? How do you sell them on being your partner?
You mean how do you manipulate them, convince them?
And yeah, in a way, yeah.
Hold on. Whoa. We're thinking about this the wrong way entirely, man. So I know Dan Zatowski was just on the call a little while ago, and Brian Kenton is in here. So here's what I will say. You're not convincing anybody. You're not manipulating anybody.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you have such a hot deal, an amazing opportunity that you've worked the numbers on. Your team is freaking fantastic. This is a guaranteed win. You can't ever say that, by the way. But in your soul, you know that you're going to do whatever it takes to make this person money. And then you just float out and look for the people who might be interested in something like that. You ask the question. So we call it diagnostic selling. We ask, hey, what do you invest in? Cool. What is your next investment? And if they say, I don't have one, but I'm looking, have the conversation. Otherwise, keep moving. Right? There's gonna be almost 400 people in the room. Don't get stuck with anyone who doesn't say, I'm looking for it right now. And yeah, I got boatloads of cash. If they don't say that, they're not the one for you if you're looking to raise capital. So when you walk into the room, I want you to be friendly to everybody. But not everybody is going to have what you're looking for. And you have to be able to respect that and not spend forever with somebody who's like, yeah, I'm also raising capital. Well, shit, like, let's go our separate ways. Let's get our contact information in case I want to learn more about your deal. Maybe I raise capital for you. If I lock down a bunch too much for me, maybe I can connect you. But like, let's go hustle. Let's go divide and conquer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome question.
Yeah, don't manipulate anybody. Don't convince anybody.
No, I'm not looking to manipulate anybody, but I'm looking to definitely grab a couple people.
But do and bring people, Josh. I would say if you've got somebody who you believe has capital, and they're just afraid to invest with you, bring them to the summit, and so they can understand how investments with you work. So you can have some lunch together. So you can go through some sessions
I
together.
invited a PML guy. I don't know if he's coming. I had to follow up with him, but he was going to lend for some of my flips, but
perfect.
That's
a
I
good
also was going
relationship to bring to the
to
summit.
a couple of syndication deals, but I had no parts in that. I was just going to get some commission out of it, but
That's all. Just some
we'll
money.
see. Yeah.
It's just relationships, man. Like all my lenders have said they've lent to me for the relationship. Every single person who's ever lent me money has literally said they lent for the relationship. They believe in what we're doing. And that is because I'm passionate about what we're doing and I'm good at what we're doing. So like the more passionate you are about what you're doing, your deal, and the better you are at it, the more proof that you have of your success. This is why, I tell a lot of people start with small deals, do a 2-family, do a single family, do whatever, like start with something so you have proof in your own head. Right? Like I can do deals that I have never done before because I've got proof in my own head of deals that I've done that were close to that size. I did a 12 unit. Now I can do a 24. I did a 24. Now I can do, we just did a 35. So now I can go do a 70. Right. And that's my own personal confidence. But if I told somebody I have 60 units right now, but we've had over 100, somebody, if I said I'm going to go do 130 units, show of hands if you feel like, yeah, he'll probably get that done. Just because of the level of experience. So whatever your confidence level is what you'll end up attracting. So work on that. And by working, I don't mean just change your mindset. I mean, like, go do things that give you confidence. Like, go take some actions that, like, I know I can lift heavier weights because last week I lifted slightly lighter weights. And so it gives you confidence. Like, go and do some of that work to get yourself confidence to prove that you can be doing these deals really well. And then raising capital becomes significantly easier. There's a lot of technical behind raising capital. There's a lot of other things. We're going to go through some of it at the summit. We will be going through more of this. The VIPs will be getting very specially trained on how to find who they're looking for in the room. So like conversations like this will be had very specifically. But very exciting question. Awesome. Let's give Josh Capizzola a round of applause. Dude's hustling. He's always looking for, I know you weren't looking to manipulate. I just wanted to be very clear what those words were, what that sounded like.
Oh yeah.
Mitch has got something here for you. What you got, Mitch?
I mean, I just wanted to sum it up with like, dude, just meet people, tell them what you do, tell them, obviously, why it works, and let the magic happen. Like, the key is literally like being very clear about, hey, this is what I do, like, and this is the type of deals I do, and this is what it looks like. And then from there, people that do have money to invest may be interested. And then it's like, all right, sweet. Next time I have one of those deals, I will contact you. It's sadly that simple sometimes.
But
I just
clarity
did it.
and confidence.
Yeah, I just did it on Thursday. I mean, I met a new private money lender that I wasn't even looking for one and didn't even know he lended money. And you're just like, hey, you mind if I get your number? I'm like, okay. And he's just like, yeah. He's like, I just been lending money the last year. He's like, I stopped like looking for deals. He's like, it's just, he's like 68-year-old guy. He's like, it's just easier for me to lend money. I was like, sounds good to me. He's like, based on what, you were saying, it seems like you know what you're talking about and, what you're doing. So just be clear about what you do. And I assume you know what you're talking about. So those two things will help you find the money. And at the end of the day, you know what really gets money? The deal. If you have a good deal, you will get the money. We talk about this in all the meetups in South Florida where it's hard to find good deals. If you find a good deal, the money will come. It's literally like the Field of Dreams quote. It's like, if you find the deal, they will come. So that's the most important part. But yeah, be clear about what you do. Because as Doug always says, a confused mind says no. So just be clear. That's my 2 cents.
And I will add, you will get the money with the deal if you get out and talk to people. You will have the money for the deal if you get out and talk to people, if you get out and network, if you tell people clearly, if you're able to clearly communicate what the deal is, how it works, if you're able to show them visually what it looks like. And Mitch is somebody who actually oftentimes has people say, hey, like, I've got money, can I invest with you? I've got money, can I invest with you? And many times Mitch says no. So like I have heard, see that smile on his face. I have heard him many times like, yeah, I told him no. It's like, dude, that's $500,000, but just do it for those guys. You don't have to do it for everybody. You don't have to open it and just do it for those guys. $500,000, like, put it to work. He's like, nah, if I do it, then all these other people are gonna want it. And like, so fans, if you want to be in that position, that means you got to love what you do. You got to talk about it enough, like understand the value of it. Doug, you mentioned two things. There was a 1 and a 2. It was
clarity and confidence. When we share that and we're confident about it, then people go, okay, cool. Like what they're wanting is someone who's just going to take care of it. Like to your point, it's a pain in the ass doing all this work. Just want that money to go somewhere. So when you've got the confidence to go, okay, cool, you got it, great, awesome. I mean, I had a guy the other day say the same thing to me. He's like, look, I see, what you're doing. I guess I'm, but he wants me to do all the work, which is fine. I'll, figure it out. Like, but I want to find other deals to do with them, not find a bunch of properties to manage. Basically, he was like, I got all this money. You want to be a property manager? I was like, no, I don't. But point being is that the confidence is what inspires people to trust that it's going to be a great deal. So you're clear and confident, and then they go, oh, okay, cool, let's do it.
My mentor actually suggested that on Thursday we talk a little bit about confidence, which comes from clarity. And so we may have some of that talk just for the VIPs, just because somebody really smarter than me suggested that we should do that for the room. So now that Doug has said it, I feel more confident in it.
Well, then let's give Doug a big round of applause. And then reverse that for Walter for stepping up and going out of his comfort zone. Right on. Hey, one more thing out there. Roland asked a really good question. I hope somebody can put it in the link below. But where can they find the schedule for the summit?
So the schedule for the summit, you would have to send an email. I want to be very cautious with it. I'm looking at Doreena's face. She's got her hand up. She knows the answer.
I'm gonna drop it here. But I mean, you can send me.
If you're on Facebook and you're not on this call and you're watching this 6-7 hours later, or literally the day before the summit, and you want to know what it is, time travelers. Well, this is Walter from the past. And back here, I'm going to tell you, send an email to events@alchemistnation.com, and we'll send you that link. We'll send you the information of what to look for at the summit. Also, when you do show up at the summit, you will find out what each speaker is talking about and a little bit about their background, which is very exciting because that is in the workbook itself, which Dorena spent hours and hours and hours creating. And she told me, she's like, I don't want to create one of these next year because this is too much work. So we'll see how she feels next year. But for right now, this workbook is absolutely sick. And it does have all the speakers and their talks and what they're talking about. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's actually really cool. Business plan is in here and everything. So it's much easier than handouts, which we've done in the past. We may go back to doing, but for this particular year, 2023, you get the sweetest book of all time with the Millionaire Contract in there, very last page. I've been getting a lot of requests for that. It is in the book. So when you get to the summit, you will get access to the Millionaire Contract. You will have it for life. You can leverage it for anything that you want. That's a very powerful resource. So let's give Stephen Beaver a big round of applause. He's been crushing it these past few weeks. He's making sure that everybody is on track, moving in the right direction. Let's give Dorena a big round of applause. My business partner, Ron, a big round of applause. They've been working very hard behind the scenes. They don't get enough credit, but they work very hard so that I don't have to. And let's give Doug and all the speakers a big round of applause. They're going to be working very hard. They've been sending PowerPoints in. I've been working with them this past few weeks, getting their talks right. Brian Schilling and the team have been reaching out to make sure everybody is on track, knows where they're going. Gary Aker, his wife, Mary Lynn, Andrew McMurray, the podcast, Mitch Jorsky, like these guys have been putting a lot of work behind the scenes. Let's give them a big round of applause to make sure you're all aware of what's going on, to make sure your value is being delivered. And one really interesting, super important, probably the most important part of Alchemist Nation are our leaders. Our leaders are showing up, they're running events, they're listening to you, they're doing one-on-one calls with you, they're aiming to help you get to your next level. Our sponsors who are spending the same amount of time, they're investing in you, they're spending the time with you to help you level up. Let's give our leaders and our sponsors of local events a big round of applause, because without you, the human interactions wouldn't happen and people wouldn't become successful. We only do things as a tribe together, but when it's somebody out there by themselves trying to be successful, nothing ever happens. It's only when the tribe gets together and does something. We're a tribe that's been trained to get around fires and share ideas, share what helps you not get eaten by the lion, share what helps you kill the woolly mammoth. And so when we get together, we learn how to invest in real estate. We learn how to raise capital. We learn how to do a deal. We learn how to avoid not avoid, but we learn how to advantage ourselves to taxes. We learn the strategies so that when big gains come in, you don't pay big capital gains. Show of hands if you understand. You're the reason that people become successful. So one more round of applause for you, all the leaders. Thank you. Now, my suggestion is we got 6 days to the summit. There are people who could change your life. Now, I'm going to ask you to be a little selfish in this one. I would suggest that you reach out to people who you would like to do business with, who you think would like to do business with you, but you just haven't had a chance to really get to know them. And so you're not 100% sure, but you think there's a good chance you'd do really good with business together. My suggestion is shoot them a text and invite them to the summit and say, hey, there's an event I'm going to this weekend. This is what it's about. It's going to be talking about marketing. It's going to be talking about sales. It's going to be talking about business. They're going to be talking about raising capital. They're going to be talking about working with investors. There will be some real estate investor talks. So they're going to talk about financial freedom. They're going to talk about wealth. It's just a general all in once a time a year, 80-20, the 80-20, the 80-20, all you need basically to go and double your income, double your net worth. And I'm just going to go check it out and see what it is. And I'd like you to be there with me. You can present that to them. This is primarily the people who would be on your trusted team: business professionals, realtors, mortgage brokers, lenders, attorneys, financial planners, investors, wholesalers, people who bring in deals, and coaches. Coaches are really important because coaches, they help train the mind. So sometimes you're a coach of this, they're a coach of that. Accountants, bookkeepers. Show of hands if you understand, there's a big list. Property managers, I mentioned property managers, very important. Without them, we can't get the work done. So my suggestion is build your team this week, call people, call 10, 20 of each person, and then say, hey, there's an event, and bring them to the summit. If they show up, cool. Now you got an opportunity to network with them. If they don't, no big deal. That doesn't mean afterwards you don't contact them, invite them to your local event, or invite them to a RIA or a landlord association. The idea is you want to be known as the person who knows everybody, because the connector, the advancing person, the person who's connecting people becomes a valuable resource in these entrepreneurs' minds. Show of hands if you understand that's how it works. If they see you as connecting, if they see you as a resource. So this is one more event. This is one more opportunity where you can present something really cool to them and share the opportunity to bring them in. Just because there's one doesn't mean you can't invite them to the next one next week or the week after and the week after. It starts with the first one. So that is my pro tip for the day, is go out, reach out to people, and now you have something valuable to deliver. Hey, I thought of you, right? I thought of you. I was thinking of you. I just wanted to check in. And by the way, I was thinking of you. I'm going to this event. It might be something you're interested in. It's right up your alley. Does that make sense? Oh, show of hands. Does that make sense? Did that freeze? No, right. All right. So as you're going and preparing yourself towards the summit, there is one special ask I would make from you, though. So your goals are only possible if you believe in them. Your dreams, your desires are only possible if you want them bad enough. So I'm going to ask you to cultivate some desire this week. Just really, really write it down and really, really want it. And don't write anything down that's flimsy, that doesn't feel like it's worthy of you. You know, write down the things that you really feel are going to change your life or that you feel will be impactful. And don't write things down that it's like, oh, well, I'll be happy when I get there. Fuck that. Write down the things that you'll be happy getting there with, like getting to there, the things that the journey will be totally worth it. For example, I never wanted to be a public speaker, but I did want to impact a lot of people's lives. So when I wrote down that I wanted to run an event where I changed a lot of people's lives, I wasn't super excited about the speaking part. But when I got to learn how to speak, when I was able to dial in and go through all these different trainings, I like growth, I like the skill, I got super excited about learning how to be a speaker and then practicing speaking. Now I look at the summit this year as just practice for the next summit. That's every single speaking opportunity I'm in is practice. I'm training myself. I'm just learning, and I'm addicted to learning and growing and improving. So now it's not painful anymore. Now it's fun. So I want you to write down your goals and think about the journey itself. Think about the work you might have to do to get there. And if the journey itself doesn't feel like fun, doesn't feel like something you want to do, maybe you won't even do it. So maybe you don't want it bad enough. And I want you to do as much of that work before the summit as you possibly can. Show of hands if that makes sense. The worst thing that could come to the summit, the worst outcome that could ever happen to any coach, trainer, mentor, any event ever would be you get there and you're like, you know what I want to do? I want to build a business of flying hot air balloons. And we're like, here's your plan. And then you don't do it because you didn't actually want a business of flying hot air balloons. What you really want to do was to actually design the nets that hot air balloons use. You didn't want, you were close. You didn't want to design shit, but you didn't actually want to be up in hot air balloons. So if that makes sense. Just going to ask you to get some real clarity around yourself this week, as much as you possibly can, what you really want. And when I say that, there's nothing you can't ask for. Ask for absolutely everything. Reach into your mind with all the things you want, all the things you'd like to work towards, the things you would enjoy working towards, the things that would be exciting for you to get in your life. Does this make sense? We understand what we're doing here. So that to me is the best preparation you can ever have walking into any event, is saying, this is who I am and who I'd like to be and what I'm willing to work towards, what I'm willing to walk into, and that person I'm willing to walk into, so that you can have the lifestyle that person gets to have. And the best example of this is Dorina once told me, she said, the reason I'm with you is because I wrote down the kind of man I wanted to be with. I wrote down on a piece of paper the kind of man I expect. I want somebody who's disciplined. I want somebody who is responsible, somebody who's on stages and important. She wrote down, I want somebody who is known by other people for being the best at what he does. I want somebody who's caring. She wrote down a list, and shape was on the list. That's a shape. So I looked at the list, and she wrote it all down. And then the other side of it, she said, who do I have to become to attract this person? For each characteristic, like attracts like. She knew that. She said, so what do I have to become to attract this? And then she said, am I willing to do that? And she was, clearly, because she and I ended up together. And I am literally everything on her list, and she is everything on my list, because we were willing to both do the work to get to where we are today. Show of hands if you understand, your future self and your past self will have to do some work to get to each other. That's just how it's going to have to be. So that's kind of the work that I'm going to ask you to do this week, so that you can be in the best position for yourself at the summit. Let's one more time give each one of you a big round of applause. Thank you for your commitment to yourself, to your discipline to get to that next level, and for the commitment to the other people and their desire to help other people that only could be helped because you're going to go and do what you do best, which is give your gift, give yourself to a community. Cheers to your success. We have a choice. Always work with the best. I can't wait to see you at the summit, because remember, there's plenty of room at the top. Just to give you one more round of applause. And Doug, thank you guys. Appreciate it.